All right, welcome back to Rollin with the Homies. This is Chris Holdsworth. We got Cody, No Love Garbrandt, and our first official guest, Dr. Matteo.
Hi everybody. Ciao a tutti in Italian.
Ciao a tutti.
As you can tell, he's Italian. He's got a nice, cool accent. And we're excited to have our first guest. This is episode 8. If you guys listened to the last episode, I ran a solo podcast, a solo cast.
Big dicked.
And I tried my best. I fumbled a little bit in the first few minutes, but I caught my stride and just started to talk about crypto and the stock market. And hopefully
not financial advice, or was it financial
not
advice?
financial advice.
Right.
No, for sure. That disclaimer should be on the bottom.
You have to let them know.
For sure, but it's good to have everyone back in studio and doing the damn thing.
Yeah,
a lot's happened since we've been together. What's been going on, Cody? We got this big fight coming up, the weight cut. You know, we got Dr. Matteo here. I kind of want to hear the dynamic, how you guys met. Give me a little rundown how everything's going.
Things are going great. Training's going as planned. We're hitting the targeted weight goal, energy, how I'm feeling, obviously recovery days. So I'm super happy with how camp is going thus far. At the last leg, we're about to be 3 weeks out from the fight. It's about 2 more weeks of hard work, and then you start tapering down. So the weight's coming off good, energy's great. Recovery, which I'm most happy about, is my recovery. The way my body is being very supple and able to grind, daily. And I honestly think that a difference between each of my last camps, that I always eat clean, eat right, but having, a professional doctor who we worked prior to jumping into camp, I think that was a very smart thing of us, to how we worked and got a relationship. He got to understand how my body kind of, breaks down the food, how my energy was. We talk almost every day on, the energy that I feel, the food that I'm putting in. Maybe I should do this, maybe I should do less of that. So he's great. I call him, text him all the time on that front. So that was my first, not real concern. Obviously, it's a little concern when you're dropping weight. For me, it's 10 pounds. If you regular person that's at home, like, 10 pounds is nothing. They can do that probably. But for me, I'm lean. I'm already in really good shape. 10 pounds on me is harder to come off a guy or someone that's an average workout, a couple times a week. I mean, if they stay consistent, went on a diet and eat clean, they could easily just clean it up by their diet, let alone working out. So it's been a process. It's been a fun process. The way my body's kind of adapting.
Yeah, this is the most lean you've ever looked.
Oh yeah.
And I've been with you since you've been in Sacramento, so I've seen you each camp, each fight. And I can tell now your abs are popping. Your face is a little bit leaner, and that just comes from the consistency with working with Dr. Matteo and figuring out your meals, figuring out how your body's reacting to certain things, and how much food you need to recover in between sessions. So I think it's awesome you guys built a relationship before he came out and before the fight, because that's important. I've seen nutritionists or food people come in and they just come in for kind of the clout, and they want to get famous and be the nutritionist guy. But just from meeting Dr. Matteo this last week, I can tell you're very professional. You come in, you have your notebook, you write your notes, and you're very involved with the athletes. And I think that's super cool and important. And I just want to hear from you a little bit of your background, how you met Cody, and of course like how you got into the food, into the nutrition game, and also like some of the fighters you work with. Just give me a little bit of your back history.
Okay, yeah, so I'm Matteo Capodaglio. I'm 32 years old, moved to the States from Italy. I grew up with the American dream. Are you originally from California?
Yes, sir, I am.
Oh, here?
Southern California.
Southern?
Yeah.
Where?
LA area, like the San Fernando Valley, the porn capital of the world.
Yeah. Oh, okay,
yeah, you know.
I know.
That big old smile.
You need to be versatile these days, and I mean different talents.
I've never played around in that field, but I have a friend who's a pretty big producer in that area.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, nice. Well, anyway, I grew up with the American dream, like I was in Italy. I remember, fell in love with Marissa Cooper in the show DOC. Do you remember? Was big. DOC.
The what?
Never watched DOC?
The
show.
OC.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I was in love with Marissa Cooper, and so one thing led to another. We never dated Marissa Cooper,
man.
but I moved to California.
Okay.
So-
Searching for her?
You started
Just
stalking
searching
her? Or
for
what?
Yeah, searching for
Searching
the.
her P.O. box, trying to... Yeah, that's cool.
And no, by way of my background, my family is in the pharmaceutical business in Italy, and that's why I got to the university and I got the PharmD first. Then I work as a pharmacist for like about a year, and then I had that conversation at home where you say, Mom, I need to tell you one thing.
Yeah.
This is not for me. And as I was...
How was that? You said you grew up in a pharmaceutical family, in that went to college, got your degree, got your doctorate, was working a year, finally come to tell your mom, like, hey, this isn't for me. How was that conversation with her?
She was like, she's pretty open to new possibilities, but she told me, well, just to let you know, once you leave, the door is closed. So there's no comeback.
She gave that tough love.
Nice.
So I was
That's
like,
good.
Okay, well, anyway, I took my decision at that point, so there was no going back. And in the meanwhile, I really started to develop my passion for nutrition. And yeah, so that's how it all started. After my, let's say, short career in the pharmaceutical world, I joined the university again, and I got the master's degree in human nutrition, and the rest is history. Then I moved to California.
Now, do you think the pharmaceutical stuff helped you learn about a lot of chemicals and a lot of substances that go into the body and how certain things react to the body?
Yeah, that's a good question. There's, at least in my curriculum to get the PharmD, there was a lot of organic chemistry, a lot of biochemistry, physiology. So that for sure gives you a very good base when it comes to study human nutrition. So probably like my knowledge when it comes to small compounds is bigger compared to someone that maybe was studying just like something that's not really chemistry related. So it's like, I will say, you start doing jiu-jitsu, and there are a lot of people in MMA like that, so they have a white belt, but they also were Division I wrestlers.
I think that's a pretty cool thing, and it gives you a little bit more credibility, because now you know how compounds work, you know how chemicals react to the body. If you do this or eat this or take this could have this effect on you. And I think a lot of other nutritionists or people who work with food, they don't know that side of things. So that's cool you brought that to the table. Now, when you switched from the pharmaceutical side, how long did it take you to get your master's in the nutrition?
2 years.
2 years. Was it an easy transition? Like, since you already had credits, you just started taking these classes?
Very, very easy, because, I mean, my personal experience, the PharmD was much harder than the master.
Yeah,
so,
I bet.
And it took way more time. And plus, basically, like, the PharmD is a higher level of education compared to the master. So basically, I mean, I wanted to do it, but yeah, the PharmD, I believe, like, opened the road to understanding better, like a book and nutrition.
Yeah.
So
once you got your master's, what was the next thing you did?
it was moving to the US, which is, I mean, we're not gonna make this an immigration podcast, but it was
hard, right?
It was, it's pretty complicated for someone that doesn't have a sponsor to move to the US. I got a visa, work visa for, sounds cocky now, but it's called like extraordinary abilities in science. So according to the government, I'm an alien with extraordinary abilities in science.
Yeah, look at that headpiece, man. You got a lot of shit in there. You got a lot of information in there.
So yeah, I'm an alien, and that's how
aliens can only grow that good of hair.
And that's how it all started. And I need to say, this is very cool, by the way. So when I was in pharm school, I wasn't even studied that much, I guess. I don't know, the brain was working. So I had a lot of free time, and I loved MMA. no connection to MMA, no connection to the fighting world. And I remember I joined this MMA forum. At the time there were forum. I'm talking about maybe 2010, 2000.
Oh yeah. Was it like the mixed martial arts forum?
It was an Italian one. It's called MMAmania.it.
Oh, nice.
So, and I remember there was a fight. I don't remember which fight, but I think I wrote something about a fighter. And this play-by-play commentator for the UFC in Italy read my post, and he DM'd me. It's like, oh, I like what you're writing about MMA. I like the way you see the sports. So here's the deal. I'm launching an Italian newspaper about MMA, and if you want, it's for free. There's not gonna be any pay for the job, but you can cover some topics, And so he sent me to this event in Rome at the time, and I was 23, 24 at the time, so I was really a kid. No one knew me. Obviously, there were some journalists in the Italian field, but no one knew me, and so it's not that like fighters were looking forward to talk to me. But there was another kid in the card, like this little kid no one was really caring about, and but I did my.
Okay, let's get to it. Come
on,
man.
I did my research, watched the videos of every fighter because I was so hyped up, and so I started to talk to this kid, and right after that, the event, I'm like, yeah, you don't get a lot of attention. Obviously, I'm unknown, but we can build like a team somehow. I didn't know anything at the time on how to build a team. Like, had zero connection with the practical MMA world. Turned out that kid was Marvin Vettori. It's crazy. That's how it all started. And we founded this like team Vettori.
How old was he at the time?
It was 19.
Wow.
So it was living in London. It was 21 in MMA, I believe. So.
Yeah, that's great with the background or backstory with ourselves with Marvin. He debuted on one of my cards that I was the main event for against Almeida, and then we were on I think 3 cards together when he got into the UFC. So it was nice, like he was he trained with my uncle a lot, in between his camps and coming here. And Marvin's just one of those fighters he was young, a young Italian beast that was ready, hungry. I loved how he fought, and so I was always drawn to him. I was a big fan of him as well, and I thought, man, this guy's going to do a lot of amazing stuff in the sport. And fast forward to where we're at now, and he's already fought for a title. He's climbing back up to fight there. He's got an amazing nutritionist and doctor and friend. And then your guys' backstory of how you guys, right there, what you just told the world, told us. That's great to see how, organic it was. Yeah. How you got into MMA and, found that passion and love. And like we spoke on, this week, conversating with you about, MMA and the old days. We went back to, man, just UFC way back, man. So it was fun. So to see that, you started out kind of a journalist, getting into MMA, met Marvin, and now, you're a leading nutritionist in the realm of MMA, and Marvin's at the head of it. So that's awesome, man.
First trips to California were crazy.
Dude, those were funny. He was telling me some crazy trips of how he had to get and Marvin was at like a Burger King for like 3 days. He got kicked out of the place that he was staying at, and ended up staying with
because the first time we came to California was with a touristic visa at the time. Was before the UFC.
Yeah.
So it was supposed to be Marvin and a friend, and then maybe I was gonna come later. So they were supposed to stay in Pasadena at this friend's aunt, I believe, place. That that aunt that you never met, but she's there. So it's like, yeah, come, you can stay here 3 months. So they got there, and then the aunt was facing some issues, and she said, like, you guys can stay here like 24 hours, then you need to leave. And they were broke, and they didn't have a place to stay in California. They didn't even have a car because at the time they were under 25. So it's very hard to rent a car. It's very expensive. Yeah. So they were staying at this Burger King. That was the only place with Wi-Fi.
That's crazy.
And
just living there, just eating burgers.
Yeah.
Living like a king.
No, and they called me. Unfortunately, a few months before that, we met this guy, Jason Manley. Is
I know
a
Jason, yeah.
he's a jiu-jitsu black belt
Mhm.
as well. He's actually got the black belt from Cesar Gracie here in the Bay Area. But and you know, he ended up hosting us for 3 months, and we were sleeping on a bunk bed with Hello Kitty sheets. You know,
You gotta do what you gotta do,
Yeah.
man. I slept on an air mattress for 3 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was on an air mattress. He said every night that it would deflate during the night. And he'd wake up on the.
Oh yeah, dude. So my air mattress had one of those like inflatable pillows on this like.
Okay.
So like one side went up very high, like so
Okay.
it's supposed to rest your head, but it was the most uncomfortable thing ever,
Yeah.
and I couldn't do it. So I flipped it the other way, so my legs were like just like on top of the pillow like this for
Yeah.
3 years, bro. I slept like that. But going back, I'm interested. So what year was this that you met Marvin?
I think 2013 maybe.
13. So
Yeah.
you know it's been 8 years. In those past 8 years, can you name off some other fighters you've worked with?
Yeah, of course. I mean, I have now Lauren Murphy. She just fought Valentina for the title. I have Arman Tsarukian. He's a lightweight. He's very, very good lightweight. I have Marvin. I have Uroš Medic. He won the Contender Series, and now he has 2 fights in the UFC. But I also work with some, you know, people in other sports like Nathan Tomasello. Is a state
Cool. So
champion.
yeah, so this is not only for MMA athletes. You actually work with
Yeah.
people in general, right? Would you
Yeah.
work with like the average person if somebody wanted to
I
work
do.
with you?
I do
Okay.
actually. Everyone tells me like you don't advertise it as much on your social media. It seems like you just work with pros, but no. I work with a limited amount of amateur athletes. They just want to be on top of their game when it comes to nutrition. So, you know, they're not gonna make weight. They're not gonna, you know, but maybe they have goals. They need to focus a lot
Yeah.
for their job. So. And they like to do jiu-jitsu, so
That's awesome.
you know, we're putting pieces together, helping them. Like
NHL player, the hockey, the goalie.
yeah,
Work with the goalie?
NHL.
Yeah,
that's
Okay, he plays in Winnipeg. Eric Comrie. He's having a very
Yeah.
good season. So yeah, it's been a blast. I'm telling Cody, I love the US and
Yeah.
all the opportunities
yeah,
they bring.
I've heard that before for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
So I got a question. I know it's probably going to be something everybody wants to hear. You know, I've been around the MMA world for a very long time. I've met a lot of different food specialists, nutritionists. I actually lived with a very good cook who cooks for Connor and Logan Paul and all these guys when I first moved to Sacramento. I want to know, like, everyone's got like a different way of doing things, right? Like what works for me might not work for Cody.
Yeah.
What works for you is not going to work for me.
Yeah.
You know, everyone's got their
Yeah.
own body,
Yeah.
their own blood type. What do you do? Just give me like a basic breakdown of like what you try to focus on when you get a new client that you're working with or a new fighter. Like, what's your protocol? How do you structure everything? And give us a couple things that you do.
Okay. I'm gonna give you like an allegory, you know, just to, you know, when I first talked to Cody and I had to explain him how we were gonna work. I'm like, you know, I'm Italian, so we have a big tradition in fashion, you know. So I was like, Cody, I told him,
As you can tell, 5 o'clock in the morning, cardigan on, writing out his notes. Like, what's up, doc? It's like, oh, how are you? Good morning.
how are you with the coffee?
Yeah.
No, so the idea that I had in my mind when I started this is I want to bring the same principles of tailoring into nutrition. So when someone like you can find a pretty good suit at the mall, can be, you know, high-end, a very good brand, but it's never going to be as good as a tailor suit. So what I do is I know, you know, the basics of science of nutrition, the principle, the pillars that each plan should have. But then the rest is understanding the person that's in front of you, because you need to find foods that this person likes, because besides I mean, it's still science, but besides eating a certain amount of macros, a certain amount of calories, you also want to create something that's sustainable, because I can give you the perfect plan, but you hate it.
Mm-hmm.
So we're gonna have great results maybe for 3 weeks, but then there's gonna be a dropout, and it's gonna be worse than before we started, because you're gonna be craving all these foods, and you're just gonna binge eating them as soon as you drop out of the protocol, you know. So I need to find that sweet spot where you have food that's healthy and you also like. And then obviously, like, I do the math and I calculate how many grams of carbs, protein, and fat.
Okay, so do you follow the whole macro thing and yeah?
For sure, it's important. We have guidelines. We know how many grams of carbs a certain athlete needs to have in relation to the type of sports that he does.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not okay. This is the person that's his height, his weight, and so every day we need to hit the same number again and again. It's okay. That's the starting point. Then we need to wonder how's the training day. So how many sessions do we have? What's the RPE of each training session? How was the day before? And
RP meaning recovery period?
No, it's the I don't know what to say because it's American, but it's the exertion rate.
Intensity.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
The exertion rate of the.
So zone 1, zone 2, zone 3. Zone 3 being
from 1 to 10 how hard it was.
Okay, got you.
You know, so yeah, I'm still like adjusting to this new language. So sometimes
You're doing good.
Yeah.
Thank you. And yeah, so these are all variables. They go into this bigger equation and they give us a number for a certain day. Then if the following day is different, we need to adjust the plan. So it's tailoring something about like individual physiological but also psychological needs. It's very important.
I really like that because like when I used to make 135, it was hard. I had to be really disciplined. And really, like all I read was like 6 weeks to shredded when Mike Dolce came out with his book. Oh, yeah, 3 weeks. Yeah. I'm sorry, 3 weeks. But there was like no like nutritional science in there. It was just his like what he ate for 3 weeks that got him to that weight. So me not knowing anything, followed it. I got super skinny and got down the weight, but I wasn't following. Like I wasn't probably getting enough protein. I wasn't, following the whole macro thing. And I think that was a big part I missed out on is having all my right nutrients, all my right macros. Because it just got down to be like, all right, I can't eat this much. I can't eat this. I just have to be really strict. But I think I was too strict on myself to where like afterwards I would blow up because my body would go into like hunger mode and like and then it would just reserve. Like they would call me like. You know how Anthony Rumble used to get all like huge after fights? That's how I used to get.
Yeah, Chris got it.
Like I can go from 35 to 65 like that. Like in
the weekend.
The weekend.
The weekend.
No, but it wasn't fun or it didn't feel good. It was like 30 pounds of like junk and like just clogged. Like it was just bad to where.
But you were craving certain types of food?
I was craving everything.
Or just the calorie. You felt like you were...
Well, just imagine going on a really strict diet of not eating certain things. And then after the fight, after you win, you have all the, you want to just party and eat and just hang out and get fat. So that's what happened. That's what happened to me. And,
okay. And what did you crave the most, if I can ask?
Oh, sweets like pizza and just like hearty like carbs and stuff like that.
Oh, okay. You were not having pasta at all during camp?
Everything. Oh, no. It would be very I would go to like more quinoa or like something very light.
Yeah.
So we've had a pasta 3 times this week.
3 times.
3 times this week.
I know. I saw that video. I got all hungry.
Man, we had a 16-ounce steak. I've never just ordered a 16-ounce steak at a place.
And I love marinara too.
Man, this guy's cooking's awesome. And he says, he says, the reload, the recharge. That's what he, is. Yeah. His favorite thing to do is the recharge. Like I said, it's about getting the weight down, but the recharge is so important. I feel like you can make the weight and feel great. All right, we made the weight. Okay. Well, that's half the battle. The rest of the battle is reloading, rehydrating, feeling good to go in the battle the next day and win the fight. That's the main important part. So I think the recharge is the biggest, and that's what I really enjoyed, when I first met Dr. Matteo. That's because I'm kind of dissecting like my last few fights and how I felt, and that's the reason why I was like, you know what, I'm in that transition period of where I can either, stay at 35, I'm going to have to gain a little bit more weight, mass, or I'm going to go to cut down now and go to 25 because I'm not reloading as I should be for the fight. You know, I don't feel like I'm getting as big or putting enough nutrition into myself to perform at that weight class and have that energy.
So let's talk about that because, you know, you're not a big 35er.
Right.
You know, you would get down, and I know because I would see you would probably walk into the cage around 140 pounds, like low 40s.
Yeah, definitely low.
Low 40s. And, you know, most
Multiple
people are coming in the 50s, like fighting at 35. So I know in the past you struggled with eating fight day and re-carbing and re-eating after the weight cut. So I really think Dr. Matteo is going to, you know, play a big role in this. How are we going to force this guy to eat enough food till he feels the best the next day?
Well,
just hold him accountable and just be in there while he's eating.
I mean, that's for sure. I'm not gonna be like, you know, you don't know where I am, but I show up. Like, yes, for sure. No, it's a process. The first thing we will have to do, depending on how much.
Tell the secrets. Don't tell the secrets.
No, I'm not gonna tell the secrets. But it's reestablish hydration. That's the first thing. So once we are fully hydrated, we're gonna start like transition from to most like solid foods, and the goal is finding the right amount of carbs, the right amount of protein and fat in a way that it doesn't feel bloated. And and so maybe we're gonna have less but more frequent meal,
Yes.
as opposed to having like a huge.
That's where I used to make a mistake, especially in my earlier days. We would get like buffet passes after we would weigh in, and I had no idea. We would go to the buffet after. I would go to the buffet the next day because all I knew was carb load.
Yeah.
And I think that's a big it's a big mistake fighters make and athletes make is the recharge. They eat too much and they think the weigh-in is like the fight's over. Yeah. You know, they're like, oh, I'm gonna have ice cream, I have all this, and then they feel like crap the next day, or they're having diarrhea, or they're throwing up because they're so used to eating a certain way, they shock their body, and then the next day they're just like, oh man, I just don't feel it. I was like, what'd you eat last night? Cheese. Like, man, you've been eating 6 weeks so clean, then you're just gonna put all this bad stuff in your body. So I think that's a big important thing fighters and athletes need to do is wait till after the fight. You spent all this time getting ready for something, all this dieting. Continue to eat that way. Don't put anything in your body that you haven't been putting in for the last 8 weeks.
Yeah, and you know, also another misconception is the more the better, where it's not just on food. For example, on fluids. Okay, so we have fluids, but we need, beside water, which is not the most hydrating thing in the world, we need to put electrolytes in that. But if you think with that mindset, the more electrolytes I'm gonna have, for sure I'm gonna feel better, and you start putting a lot of sodium, or you put a lot of like in this volume, let's say 1 liter, 1 gallon. If you put like multiple servings of electrolytes, you can make it. It's called a hypertonic solution, where the concentration of the electrolytes in it is way higher than in your body. Instead of hydrating your body, all these electrolytes, they might make you more dehydrated. So you might have diarrhea because of that. So it's not just the food. Sometimes, like, the reason why you spend, if you stay in a gym, you can have a lot of, anecdotal evidence, and you can kind of like learn how it is. But the thing of spending all this year on a desk reading books is that sometimes you need to make choices that might sound counterintuitive, but they're good for the athlete. It's like recharging carbs. It's like, yeah, for sure, if you need to lose weight, overall you need to have a caloric deficit. But there are days where if you do a proper recharge, or periods of time where if you do a proper recharge, you will give your body the message, okay, we have enough energy, we can keep, shredding fat. While if you go in a very, very aggressive caloric deficit, after a while your body is not dumb, he will think, I need to save this human, you know. And in order to save this human, I'm gonna go on how do you say?
Conservation
Yeah,
mode?
conservation mode. So your resting metabolic rate slows down. You feel lethargic. In the morning, you're like, I don't want to train. But why? Because the body is trying to give you a message. Because we didn't make it this far having energy drinks and, free food at the supermarket. We are the product of long evolution. And then, in the past thousands of years, we made these changes that brought us to this civilized, So it's putting pieces together. And
So I got a good question. Ever since it was Trifecta first, and then it was another company where they started to have post weigh-in drinks for the athletes right after they get on the scale. And beforehand, athletes were totally responsible for everything post weigh-ins, drinks. Now the UFC actually provides pre-made drinks. They have food, which I think is the worst food that you can possibly have. All the fat corner guys go over there, grab all the snacks and stuff. But do you like the athletes to drink what the UFC gives them, or do you make your own drinks post weigh-in for your guys?
Okay, yeah. I know very well the guys at the UFC Performance Institute. There's on the nutrition side, there's Clint. That was is an All-American, Cornell Wrestling. There's Charles. I believe they're skilled. They know their stuff. Absolutely. So I believe they offer valuable protocols. But they care about the whole roster, so they cannot develop a one-on-one relationship. While we're in the same field, but it's just different. I do this tailor one-on-one where, Cody can call me basically at any time. And so, we're all give valuable feedback. It's just, different approach.
That's a good question, and to bring it up about first and foremost, it's awesome the UFC does do that to some fighters that might not be financially set to recharge or the week of the fight know what to eat or are as educated on healthy food. So that probably helps out a lot of fighters make the weight. So that's great on the UFC PI. But like you said, to develop that tailor relationship. All right, sweet potatoes might not work for you for a carb, or vice versa. And we've used it, UFC PI, in the past, and I feel like some of the times I've ate the food, I just didn't process it well enough. I didn't feel the energy that I feel working with Dr. Matteo for how long we've been working for? A few months now.
Almost 5 or 6.
5 or 6 months, almost half a year. So I'm understanding, why am I eating beets this day? Why am I having a bunch of beets in my salad, gazpacho, soup, beet juice in the morning, things like that, to understand how my body is going to react, or what is this used for. I'm always asking them questions, and how my body's going to process this. What's it good for? It makes me go into Googling it and researching it more to understand what is it going to do for my body. So that's another thing. Everyone's body's different, so you're giving the same reload shakes as a heavyweight to a 25-pounder. I don't know their protocols or what they do, but I feel like a lot of the same stuff is given to all the fighters during the week. So how does that your body can ingest that? Like he was saying, it could be too much, could be too less. So having a tailored dietitian for you is great. And I'm not bad-mouthing or talking bad about the UFC PI. I think they're great guys. I love them a lot, and they help out a lot of fighters that need that. For me, I feel like I need more of a tailored approach, especially going down to 25. I'm at the highest level of fighting, or right there on the cups of, fighting for a world championship, being the best. So I'm making sure that I'm getting the best individual work that I can get. I work with you individually. I have to have everything that I do for my profession that's only going to help me succeed and have success. You're a martial artist through and through, a black belt. You watch all my practices. You're on me about diet. You're very knowledgeable on the sport, the diet, the recovery. Just like himself, I want the best in each field. So that's why I reached out to Dr. Matteo. It's been great. We have an amazing camp thus far. Like I said, we're last leg of the camp, 3 weeks out. Weight's good, energy's good. We got another session today at 2, so we are probably gonna have to wrap this podcast up. But it's been great questions. I've had those kind of questions with Dr. Matteo and asked him like, hey, why are we doing this? Why are we eating that? So I've learned so much from him in the last 6 months to only elevate this descend down the flyweight. And with our first camp, it's going great. Obviously make the weight, get the big win, and we go from there. But I'm happy to have him on my team. He's a great guy, amazing to work with. So I feel like my team is as strong as it's ever been, and
Awesome.
Thankful for that.
Awesome.
So
Let's go.
Yeah, thank you for coming on, Dr. Mateo.
Had a blast.
The
fun.
first official guest on Rollin' with the Homies. Do you wanna end with anything before we give our little wrap?
I just hope I was a good homie for this podcast. You know.
Yes, you definitely were. And shout out to all the homies out there listening. Please make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. Show us some love. Tag us on Instagram. Let us know you're listening to it. The more feedback we get, the more motivation we get to put out fire episodes for you guys. Get good guests for you and try to expand your MMA and life knowledge.
And hopefully have a lot of Italian followers and supporters after this episode of yours truly, the Italian Dream.
Just look at that hair.
That's Marvin.
Man.
Is gonna.
Marvin. Okay, I'm sorry,
gonna,
Marvin. I'm gonna take his nickname. We have to make a nickname up for Dr. Matteo.
Yeah.
It's coming. Let's give it.
Let me talk to the Italians.
Okay, talk to Italians.
Ragazzi, stiamo perdendo tempo. Ci vogliamo iscrivere a questo canale? Dai, supporto ai ragazzi qua.
Ciao.
Ciao, guys. See you next time.
Hi, guys.